back to Melissa Hager TV. We're so delighted that you are here today listening. I have such a special guest.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay, not everybody is you, Melissa, and can talk to a rock. Here's my shock factor. From $7 an hour to $85,000 a year.
I cannot wait to introduce to you. She has a big job that has been highly affected by this crazy quarantine that we're going through right now, and we can't wait to hear all about it and what shifts that they have made inside of their company to keep going. And I think a lot of you are going to find this inspiring, and you're going to find some answers that you've been looking for when you're just like, okay, I've watched all of Netflix. Now what do I do? You guys, let me introduce to you Jennifer Ratchford. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
So Jen, tell us, what is it that you do?
I am a director of events for a speaking company, and so we do training events all over the United States and internationally. So we have live in-person events that we have anywhere from 500-600 people up to the upwards numbers of 1,200 people who attend our live events. We typically do them every 6 to 8 weeks, occasionally twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. We have about a 4-week inner week span. Those ones are a little bit more crazy and hectic, and there are larger, more intense trainings. And then we do encore events. And so we have a group of people who take our live events and then bring them and do encore events around the world, so internationally. So we have them in Latvia, we have them in obviously Canada, which is really close to us, but it's still Canada for people just due to flights and costs and things like that. They just might not be able to get to us. All the way to Australia, New Zealand, like all over the place. And we've had the privilege to be able to travel to those places as well and do live events. So I have the honor of working with a really small remote team and a large amount of volunteers who are our clients and put on these transformational events.
Wow. And I got to tell you, when all of this stuff hit and we saw America kind of shut down,
Yeah.
you know, everybody knows that the celebrities are stuck at home and they can't work, they can't do their acting, they can't make their $1 million music videos. And I don't know, for some reason that is easier to dismiss in your mind, even though they're probably like, oh, I can't work like I'm used to working. But honestly, you were one of the very first people I thought of. I was like, what's Jen going to do? I mean, they put on events with hundreds and hundreds and sometimes thousands of people. What is Jen going to do? And here you are still working.
Yes. Well, it's interesting how, first and foremost, we're an internet company. So that's been great. Even with having to stay, shelter at home as the, quarantine, or be at home or else you get fined, whichever way you want to look at it. Out of all of those, shelter in place is the nice way to say it. But even with that, working from home, we're an internet company. And with technology the way that it is these days, it's been really, really easy for us. Between Zoom, Google Hangouts, our team meets on Google Hangouts, but we do some of our meetings through Zoom. And then we have like live stream accounts. There's so many platforms out there that you can use to still be putting on events. Facebook Live. You just have to watch because they will censor certain things, and some things will get through and some things don't. And that's where you've got to be really cautious of what platform you use. So we're testing out several different ones right now, but we've done live events. You've been to some of our events. And so during our events, there's one segment of our event that we always stream live. And the company that I work for has been amazing at always wanting to give back into the community. So where we know that we put on events that help people with business, their relationships, and their finances, we also know that we can help anybody in those areas. And so we offer a free training at one of our events every single time. And we've always brought that live through Facebook and YouTube. So just as you have your YouTube channel here, we do the same thing. So people have access to get that free content and material and get trained and, equipped just like you're doing right now.
Well, it's an interesting time for sure. And the fact that you're a little bit ahead of the game, you guys aren't just laying down and like, okay, I give up, that you're making those adjustments to make it happen, because you guys had a live event coming up in April, correct?
Yes, we have a live coming up in April. We have one in May, and we have one in July, October, and November. Those are all lives. And the two that have been impacted are our April event, which they canceled. And so the nice thing is, when a hotel cancels on you, there's no fees, right? But you can't charge a hotel what you would have lost in fees when they cancel on you. And that's the really hard part. They're like, we'll do what we can to help you, but we're out. So like even our May event, as hotels across the world, they're closing down until June. We're like, wait, but it's supposed to be reopening at the end of April. Why are you still closed down until June or some July? And so as we've been doing that, we're like, okay, now we've got to find a new location for our May event. And so I'm scrambling to find those locations and then make that announcement. And in the meantime, you've got people who are registered for these events, and with all of the chaos and the crisis that's going on in the world, to not know what you're doing, it makes it even more challenging. And so it's trying to find the peace in the midst of the storm and, saying, hey, we're going to make it through this. We're here for you. And again, fortunately, I work for a company that that's our message, right? We help people. And so being on the phones every day with our clients and just letting them know, hey, how are you doing? We're just checking in, seeing how you're doing, making sure that you're doing okay. Are you healthy? Is your family healthy? How can we help you? What do you need to hear from us during this crisis to help you get through it? So I work for a personal development company, and that's the most amazing part about what we do. And to be able to just be that calm for the person who's just not so calm on the other end.
Right. And that's part of actually what initiated this whole interview. Was last week I'm sitting around unshowered in my robe, not doing a darn thing, supposed to be teaching my kids some schooling, and we're all watching Wreck-It Ralph for the 8th time in a row and eating chips on the couch, and my phone rings and I'm like, what is this? And I listened to a voicemail from you, but from your company. I was on your list to call and just check in and say, hey, how are you doing? There wasn't anything in the message of here's where the company's going, we want you to buy a ticket to this, we want you to do this, donate money here. It was just, hey, just checking in, and I wanted to see how you were doing. How is everything? Please call me back. Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, like literally nobody does that. What company does that? You guys have hundreds of thousands of clients. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I'm with DaniJohnson.com. That's the company we work for. It's DANI, and then Johnson, like JohnsonandJohnson.com. And that's the heart of the speaker, right? So Dani is a speaker, and she's been speaking. I've known her for 28 years, and it truly is the heart of who she is. So when I get to say, hey, I have a message from Dani, I truly do have a message for you from Dani. She wants me to be checking in and making sure, and she's equipped that for the whole team. So it's come out saying, hey, I want you to get a hold of all of our clients during this time and letting them know. And that's a lot of clients to get a hold of. So we've left a lot of messages, but we've had the privilege to talk to a lot of clients. And where some have lost their job, I'm fortunate to say that a lot of the clients that I've been able to connect with on the phone, they haven't. They're still working, or they're financially in a stable position to where this isn't affecting them in the way that it's affecting a lot of America today. So we've been really, really fortunate. And I know you are also one of those clients that I'm able to check in and to think outside the box, right? So we're thinking outside the box of how can we help our clients? What can we do for them? So,
and let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about why a lot of the clients that you've checked in on are financially okay, or they're not broken in half at this point, thinking, what are we going to do? We're going to lose our house. We're going to lose our car. The repo man's coming. That is a big part of what you're taught at your live events. Yeah. And if I could just share my testimonial, I mean, it's been 10 years more than that.
2007, right?
Yeah.
7.
So 2007. Oh my gosh, that's so long ago. Holy cow.
Almost 14 years.
I had more natural hair color back then. Oh my goodness. Okay, so 2007, when I went to my first event that was live in person, it's called First Steps to Success. That's one of the events that you put on, you coordinate. First Steps to Success. Man, I was a broke, divorced realtor living in my mom's basement. I had my real estate license for 2 years, and I had not sold a single house. I was so broke with nothing going on. And our mutual friend, Carmen, she was like, dude, you gotta come see this chick speak. She teaches some stuff, like, you need to know this stuff. And I thought, oh, come on, dude, I'm broke, living in my mom's basement. I don't have anything to my name. I lost everything. I'm so destitute. This is so stupid. Well, how am I going to come up with money to go to this conference? And she just didn't let up. She kept saying, you got to come, you got to come. And I went, and within a year of going to my very first steps to success, I went from zero, not selling one single house, to doing 1 million in real estate sales. And within 3 years, I was able to have a $4 million year selling real estate. And that's all skills I learned through First Steps to Success. And it just blew my mind. I was just like, wow, these are simple things that we can all do. Like, we've all been to the hype seminars. We've all been to we've watched the YouTube videos. I'm going to show you how to walk on fire and you're going to chew glass. Like, we've all been to that stuff, but the whole crazy difference, First Steps to Success, you leave with physical things to do, like simple, easy things.
Yeah. And that's the one thing, like, my very first steps was over 28 years ago when I went, and how some of the training has changed from my very first event to who it is today, because Dani, who is the speaker for First Steps to Success, as she's gone through life's challenges, right, she shares what her mistakes were. She shares of how she overcame obstacles, how she overcame adversity, all of the things that she had to overcome. And it's become what it is today. So you've been on the fortunate side of a lot of those. When I first went, it wasn't about getting yourself financially secure. It was very different teaching. And she teaches that at First Steps to Success, that, hey, I learned all the wrong things to do, and this is what I've learned in the midst of it. So she's learned a lot about people. She's learned a lot about communication. She's learned a ton about finances, making millions, losing millions, making millions, keeping millions, and then teaching people how to do the same thing. So she's made quite a few millionaires and has even raised up a couple billionaires. So that's been the most amazing thing about what we get to do. But even for me, like, a lot of people work for companies. A lot of our company applies what we learn. So for me, I was able to pay off $28,000 in 14 months, right? So that was an amazing, amazing opportunity for me. Never the mind, I went with a high school education, not knowing what I was going to do, to get into banking, to raise myself up from a teller to a banker in 3 months, to a assistant branch manager to a manager, all that within 3 years, going from $7 an hour to $85,000 a year. So that's a huge success story of the skill sets that I learned of just how to work with people through what we do. So,
Having
and I know,
high school diploma.
Yeah, high school diploma. And I went to beauty school, got my cosmetology license, but then I was allergic to the chemicals. So everything that I had hope and desires for was gone in the matter of like 2 months. I'm like, well, here's the dead end of that story. But it's been great. Like, even watching you, like, I've watched you in your career between real estate, becoming a mom, doing the comedy series stuff that you're doing now. And like, just the way that you connect with people, there's almost a favor that has been on the things that I watch you do. And I see that in a ton of our clients. Like, the skill sets that we teach are so simple that anybody can do it. So it makes you think, like, what are you doing that's different? And it's really nothing much different, except for just a couple key little things that we teach. So, which is phenomenal. Dani doesn't just talk about it, she shows you how to do it.
Right. And knowing you guys, watching the crew and the speaker since 2007, I can attest to that she has evolved the whole time. Like, when she makes a mistake, she's so transparent about, okay, let me tell you what my family went through last year. And you're like, I can't believe you're sharing this with me. Yeah. And most speakers that we see that people idolize and they want to follow, they were already born into that, or they already had millions of dollars, and it's like, I want to start a motivational company. And Dani's so far the opposite of that. I mean, homeless, living in her car, an abused child, molested by her father. Like, her story just blows your mind, and you're like, how are you even alive? How are you even alive, much less teaching me how to become a millionaire? That's crazy.
Yep, I know. And such extremes. Like, I'm like, how much extreme stuff can happen to one person? And fortunately, I've seen several, you know what I mean? Because there's this law of attraction as well, right? So you are who you hang out with. And we have a lot of clients who've been through a lot of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, like, her story, pregnant at 17, right? All of that. So giving up her daughter for adoption, to where now she's reunited with that daughter. They live in the same town. They have a great relationship. You know, all of those types of things. Having more children with her husband of Hans that she's been married and with for 28 years, married for 26. They did it backwards. They had a daughter and then they did it backwards. But teaching from all of that history, right? Teaching restoration. I've seen her her biological father, because the one that abused her, like you had mentioned, he was her stepdad, and she didn't find that out until she was 16. And so finding out all of that information, but being able to have those conversations and walk people through, like, how do you forgive somebody? You can talk about it, right? But you have all this bitterness, you have all this resentment, you have all this stuff, and you just don't think you can forgive anybody, or you've got to raise yourself up. But we all know, right? It hurts you the worst.
Right.
So in a time like now where she's supposed to be semi-retired, she's like, I guess I'm out of retirement now. Because she can't help but to help, right? She hears the cry of everything that's happening in the world. And the biggest cry that she's hearing right now is she knows when crisis happens in the home. Yeah. And so you're going to see more reports on child abuse. You're going to see more abuse on spousal abuse. You're going to see more reports on all these things. Higher rates of suicide, higher rates of depression, higher rates of alcoholism and drugs, just because it's what's happening in the world today. And when crisis happens, that's what happens. And that's what gets her out of bed every day. Yeah. She is a speaker who doesn't take a salary. She gives her salary straight to the poor. So she literally, our company gives her a check, and I've watched this many times. She signs it over and walks it across the hall over to the other side of the building, opens the door to a foundation that we love and support, and that money goes to feeding the homeless, feeding the poor, those that don't have parents, widows, all of those kinds of things. So that's what I get to wake up, and those are the people that we get to call as our clients. And that is a message of hope that we get to speak to. And we have the most amazing clients, the most. So we're very, very grateful for the clients that we have. And I'm very grateful to have the job that I have, to be able to offer what we give to clients. And that right now is hope. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. And the community that you guys have cultivated through your clients is become, you know, you would think that the speaker is the attraction. The speaker is the person that you're just like, oh God, I got to get in front of her. Yeah. And your community has become right close to that. People love coming to the events for the other people in the room as much as for the speaker, which is an incredible thing. Most speakers would be scared to cultivate that feeling in a room, as they would think, well, I'm going to lose control. Someone's going to rise up above me. Someone's going to get better than me. And this is my room. Like, I need this. This is my people. And that's not even, you never feel that from Dani. The entire conference is always all about, look at what so-and-so's doing. Yeah. Look at what they overcame. Look at what these people have done with themselves. And that is such a cool thing, to feel like you fit in a room, because it's easy. We all do that, right? We sit around and we judge everybody in the room, and it's like, okay, well, they look way richer than me. That married couple looks happier than me and my husband. That I don't fit in here. I'm just a mess. I'm poor. I'm broke. I just lost my car before we came here. And that's not the case at all inside of this community. That doesn't happen. And how does she maintain that?
I think it's realistically because she's just so raw with what she teaches, right? She teaches from her true life experiences. And there's not one person that I know, like, I don't ever worry about anything coming, like someone trying to say, hey, Dani, I know something about you, because she shares everything. So nobody can hold anything over her, right? She's like, I've done this, I've done that. I can't run for president because I was this, I've slept with this many men. Like, seriously, she airs all of her stuff in public. And so she's like, yeah, no, I shared that at First Steps to Success, or I shared that at Creating Dynasty. Yeah, I talked about that at Hot Marriage Secrets. Okay, they got the story a little wrong. Here's the right version of the story.
So, like, no, I didn't even mess up like that. I messed up way worse than that. Here, let me tell you.
Here's my shock factor. So, but it makes it great because then people can relate. And you're absolutely right about people rising up. And we have a lot of clients who have come and taken her material, and they've gone out and done their own thing with it. And we 100% believe in reaping and sowing, and it is what it is, and good for them. They're still spreading our message.
Right. That is her message.
Whether they're out there teaching it or not, they're still spreading it. The thing that I always ask anybody who knows about DaniJohnson.com or hears content, I'm like, just make sure that the person you're learning from has results.
Right. So, yeah,
easier. You learn from someone who has what you want, not what they say they have. Right. So.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, so talking about how things morph and change, I'm a perfect example of that. She helped me to become a very successful realtor. I mean, in a huge company out here, I was in the top 10 really quickly and stayed there. I was single, living on my own, bought a house on my own. Almost every other realtor I worked with at the time had either a retirement or they had a spouse that had a really great income. And that was the number one question that I got all the time. They're like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you making it in real estate? 2008, 2009, Michigan real estate was in the pits. I mean, there was not jack crap going on. It was all repos. I can't tell you how many floors I fell through and how many wet basements I had to walk into, or cat pee houses that I had to put like Vaseline under my nose so I didn't smell it. Like, all the most horrible things, conditions, every excuse to fail. And I was thriving because of consistently plugging in to these live events and growing my education. And then being able to come to a place, like, we all have so much garbage this emotional garbage that we're hanging on to, and you start peeling that emotional garbage off and you start discovering who you really are, and you get comfortable in who you really are, and then your real desires come out. And doing what I do now, making that move out of real estate into becoming a full-time mom, and then, trying out comedy and then diving in head first. I can't even tell you how full my heart is now where I'm at. I love real estate. I love everything I learned during real estate. I love being a mom. I love being a wife. And being able to do comedy. People are like, well, if real estate was so good, why'd you get out? It's like, I did not get out. I made a choice to make a move in my life, and now I'm doing something that I truly desire and I truly feel fulfilled doing. And I'm still going to First Steps and learning how to be. I'm going to a conference learning how to become a better comedian and how to be funnier, how to speak better to people, how to deliver better through what most people want to call is a sales conference. And I think it's amazing. I can't tell you the last First Steps I went to, and I'm posting about it on Facebook, how many comedian friends messaged me and they're like, what are you doing at a sales conference? What are you doing? You're a comedian. I'm like, oh, what are you doing sitting at home?
Right. Since when is comedian not selling?
Right, exactly.
Right. You have to sell yourself. And if there's one thing that I've seen, and I was just talking to Carmen and I both having this conversation, and it's how teachable you are. You know what I mean? You're willing to just like, okay, I'm going to go make a mess of things. And you're not afraid to look stupid in the midst of it. And you do that with your friends, and you do that with the people who love you first, right? And then you learn and you gain a skill, and then you take it to the next level, and then you take it to the next level. So I can say you are one of the stories of give me a year of your life and you won't recognize it. And that's what our motto is. If you just give me 1 year of your life, you won't recognize it. And we have people who've done that from a book to a subscription to the live events to our nuclear coaching program to all, depending on what level you want to come in at. That's been the best part of it. Like, we have so many thousands of success stories of clients who reading a book started a business, who reading a book paid off debt, who reading a book were able to groom their children for success. Through reading a book, have an understanding of who they were designed to be, right? So that's there, and then taking it further. So we have our life map to success, and that's just our subscription, and it's a brand new thing that we just launched, and I love it because it's video training. It takes you through all of the your vision. So what's the vision for your life? What's the vision for your marriage? What's the vision for your children? You know, what is it? And then it takes you down into communication skills, business skills, finance skills, and then you go on the journey of where you want to be. So, and then you can go all the way up to our live events, right? And those live events, I will say, by far dramatically change. And it's not just from the content there, because you're going to get some of that content in the life map to success, but it's also that community. Where can you go and just be accepted by people?
Right.
Like, we have an amazing group of clients. That's all I can say. We have the best clients in the world. So thank you for being one of them. Thank you for supporting what we do. And thank you for pouring into it. You volunteered for us as well. So you pour right back into it. And you get nothing for that. Like,
well, in my defense, you put me in the coolest places where I get to talk to people. That hardly feels like volunteering. Hardly.
I'm grateful.
I love these people. You see them, they're so excited and they're so thrilled, and it is really the coolest feeling. So let's talk about the live events, because we will be getting back to those. You do have an event coming up. We are going to talk about that. But let's talk about the live events in person. It's a big conference room in a pretty hotel, and there's 1,000 people in the room, and you are responsible for keeping all them 1,000 people coordinated, getting Dani on stage at time, making sure her notes are there, making sure the people backstage have what she wants, getting her lunch in time when she only has 10 minutes, getting her to the bathroom and back successfully. How in the world do you coordinate that? How, Jen?
Through experience, first and foremost, and I have an amazing team of a small group of core people and then a large group of volunteers. And without all of those people being so core and key in things, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. But we have lots of faux pas. The thing about our events that makes it so awesome, which you'll hear a couple of these things, but like, Dani is not a scripted person. So every first steps, we have key things that we teach. But it goes by the feedback of the people who are in the room. And so it can change on a dime. And we have
you're running this way, and all of a sudden you got to go that way.
Seriously.
Yeah, you have to tell us. Like, there's got to be some. Tell us give us a big faux pas.
I would say that probably the funniest story I have, and I still crack myself up, and you'll have to forgive me because I will start laughing here, is Dani has been on several television shows and things like that. And I'll go back to the events, but this is probably the funniest, is Dani's going to be a host on a show, right? So she's a guest on the show, and then they've asked her to like do a whole week's worth of their show. Mm-hmm. And so we fly into Southern California, and I meet her at the bottom. I'm already in Southern California, prepping the ground, getting ready for what we need to do for her to go speak and all that kind of stuff. And I meet her at the bottom of the escalator. She comes down. I'm like, we got to go get your luggage. And you just see her face go. And I'm like, what? And she's like, I left my bag on the plane.
Oh my gosh.
So she runs back up the escalator, and then she gets the plane. The plane's already on its way to Carlsbad, right? And so we're calling all the stores because we've got to find 5 outfits, right? And so we're running. We got all the outfits. We get everything together. She's like, we're running. She's like, we got to get shoes. And so we run down to go to the shoe store. And then as we're running, she's like, wait. And so we all like literally skid in the mall. And this is, I can't even remember which mall it is, but it's probably the yuppiest mall in California. Anyway, I mean, the yuppiest of high-end clients, like high-end actresses, like there. And we're running, hauling, slide. And she's like, I can wear those shoes, the shoes that I have on. Because prior to, we did another interview where I packed her wrong shoes, and so she used mine. Just, she knows they will work, and they will work on the camera. So we turn around, we pivot, and we're like, okay, we got this, and I face planted so hard. My shoe got stuck in the tile, and I go down hard. And I'm like littering. She's like, get up, like looking around, get up. And I am like busting a gut. I am laughing so hard. My hands are bruised. My knees are bruised. I look like a dead person laying on the floor. And all she's doing is, get up.
Oh, no.
So, but all went well. We had closed, interviews went well, everything went, no one got to see the behind the scenes besides now on your show. What really happened for all that craziness. So, but that was probably the funniest thing that I have been a part of, you know, to where it was the most embarrassing point for me.
My heart's beating really fast for you.
It was freaking hilarious. And I was just laughing. I was laughing uncontrollably on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Poor Dani. So that was one. I can't tell you how many times we've been stuck in an elevator. Yeah, that's been some fun ones when you're supposed to be on stage and you're stuck in an elevator.
Just can't go anywhere.
You can't go anywhere. Like you're stuck in an elevator with a bunch of clients. So and you're all like, because they get overloaded, you know, everybody doesn't pay attention. And so we're like, okay, we're supposed to be on stage right now.
Right.
So, and Dani being Dani, like, hey, how's everybody doing? Like, we're stuck in an elevator, but with my radio. So those that was probably there.
So that makes sense when it's like you're in the room and it's time to get started again, and then you hear another song come on and you're like, oh wow, I thought we were going to get started.
Yep. Or the cue cards go from, 1 minute to 5. Like stretch, and then she's in the room, and then we're like, wait, you were just not in the room. Yeah. Yes. But there's lots of things that you can't account for at an event. So, and we're used to changing on a dime just because of the content and the way that we design our events. So our team is pretty awesome, but every once in a while, like you're prepared for what she's coming out with, and then she comes out with a message, right? So she comes out with a message, and then you know that you're supposed to be playing this video, and then the message is lights, and then the light button doesn't work that you pre-programmed to work.
Oh no. And
then you're like, lights, and then button, it doesn't work. No. Like for the video to show, and then you're like, ah! So those little technical things happen. Let's see, air conditioning's going out. Air conditioned.
No.
Yeah, the whole hotel, at least our room, we had to bring in these big fans because she was dying. The whole room was hot, but we have these big fans. So fortunately, you have a speaker, but you hear all this fan.
Oh my gosh.
Sound system's completely going out.
Oh man.
Where were we? We were just in Texas in January. Was it January? We were in San Antonio, and they had a power outage, and our hotel was affected. But fortunately, it was set up day and not the day of the event. But we had issues all weekend long. Like there's just things that you don't control, and you just flow with the punches and you roll with it. And I'm grateful for who I work for because we're used to that. Yeah. And just do what we do. And not a lot of speakers have that flexibility. They're very cookie cutter, and this is what we do, and this is the hype, and it's all choreographed.
So you're telling us Dani doesn't have any secret freakouts, like when stuff happens, she doesn't like.
Not that nobody else doesn't see. Nice. You guys all see the freak out.
Right.
She does it in front of the room, and she'll be the first one to say. She gets really passionate because she literally, she is in the moment, and she tells people like, I may be intense, but it's because I have such a belief in this, and I've got so much conviction and passion behind it. You need to understand what I'm saying. So she tells us as a team, I'm not yelling at you.
Yelling.
I'm just passionate about what we're doing. We've got thousands of people in this room, and we've got millions of lives to impact. So let's get this right. It's not about her. It's not about even the person in the room. It's the person on the other end of where our proceeds go. So.
Right. Well, let's address that. Tell us about King's Ransom. That's the foundation. I know our family has given tons and tons of money to it. selfishly, it feels so good to give King's Ransom money, and there's a reason for that. I would love for you to tell everybody about King's Ransom, because we're going to put a link to there also in the description of the video.
That's awesome. Well, we give 10% right off the top of everything that comes in. We don't look at what our expenses are. Every dollar that comes in, 10% goes straight to King's Ransom Foundation. And you can find it at kingsransom.org is the website. And 100% of your donation. So we have corporate donors that help to pay for the bills, all of that kind of stuff. We're running into a good challenge right now because we have a lot of our merchant fees, right, that the corporate donor pays for. And so we're talking to our clients about, hey, maybe do ACH. I know people don't send checks in the mail anymore.
Right.
Or hey, can you pay your 3% of the merchant fee so that we can get more money to the poor, to those that are in need? And they really believe in the Bible as far as our giving principles. It's not to go to pay for anyone's large salaries or anything like that. The board of King's Ransom is all voluntary. They don't take they take nothing as far as income, anything like that. And so they have a couple of employees that they pay to make sure that they can run the finances, things like that. But everything is all covered by a corporate sponsor. So that's all there. So 100% of your donation, Melissa, that you've always made over the years, all of that goes to a cause that you want to support. So right now we have sex trafficking. That's probably our largest one that we've been focusing on. We build homes for the extreme poor. Those go to Nicaragua is where that is. We have several orphanages all across the world and here in the United States that we support all of those orphans. So that's from meals, clothing, schooling, all of that kind of stuff. So we support a lot of people, and our clients support a lot of people between that. So we've seen amazing results of, I think, $5 million in donations last year just from our clients. And to know that that is going out and making an impact.
And that, let's just make sure everybody understands, $5 million in donations, $5 million went out to the sick, the poor, the needy, the widowed, the sex traded. 5 million came in, 5 million went out.
Yes.
That's amazing. Like that is just not, that is not tradition in the nonprofit world, in the foundation world, that there's somebody making some money, there's somebody getting paid to do a big job, and that you guys went above and beyond getting corporate sponsors in to take care of those small paychecks that need to go out, so that every single donation that comes in, 100% goes back out. It's incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
And the great part is you can go to any nonprofit organization and you look at their financials. And I always encourage anybody who is giving to do that, because you don't have a clue of how much money actually goes to the cause.
Right.
I always challenge everybody that I talk to, go look at their financials and you'll see what they're making and who's keeping what and who's spending what, and what actually goes to the organization itself.
Right.
So without demeaning a bunch of organizations, if there's a organization that you give to, awesome. If you're looking for an organization that gives 100% of your donation to its main thing, and whether eventually, because of this crisis and because we take care of so many people, we want to make sure we can do the same thing. We may have to say, sorry, your merchant fees will, that's the only part that won't go.
Right.
Just because we've got to cover those fees. And
right.
Our corporate sponsors, everybody's taking hits on business right now. So we've just got to make sure all of that's there. But that was the most recent thing we heard. But there's so many people who are in dire need right now.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but we don't know extreme poverty. Like us in the United States, we don't know extreme poverty. So, we've got people who need to pay their mortgages, who need to pay their car payments, who need to do that. We have a government right now that is saying, hey, you can't repo anybody's car. Hey, you can't kick anybody out of their house. Hey, you can't do this stuff. So we don't know what extreme poverty is.
Yeah, you've seen people laying on the dirt or on a wet piece of cardboard, picking through trash for their next meal, leaving their children behind for days on end to walk to get water.
Yes.
Like, you've seen that.
Yep, and the water that they're drinking is not good water. So we provide water, we provide food, we provide shelter, and we take care of the elderly whose children won't take care of them.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kingsransom.org. We'll put a link down below. That's a really good place. Even if you haven't checked out King's Ransom before, just go on there, check it out, explore the website. You'll see a lot. You will see a lot, and it's a really great place to, if you've been looking for a place to donate some money and actually know that you're donating money and making a difference, that is the place to do it. Yes. So let's talk about First Steps. We have a First Steps event coming up. It's going to look different than any First Steps we've had before.
That it is. It's going to be virtual. So as I said before, we were going to be in Orlando, but they canceled. And so Dani was like, well, we're not canceling. The world needs this more now than ever. And so we're doing a virtual First Steps to Success, and it's going to be April 24th, 25th, and 26th. It'll start Friday evening. It'll be Central Time Zone. So we're telling people to join us live. There'll be people all across the United States and internationally who'll be joining us. You'll be amazed at some of our clients. They will stay up all night long and and adjust their sleep schedules to be able to join us. So we're super excited that we have the opportunity to do this and bring First Steps into your living room. We get to meet you where you're at.
How cool. Very exciting. And we will put the link also in the description of how you can go check that out and get your ticket. You guys have group rates available, which is really cool.
Yeah, we have family rates because we know some families aren't together. And so we got family packages as well as business packages, because we know that even right now there are some companies out there who their employees might be at home, but they're wanting to sew into them, they're wanting to equip them, they're wanting to get them the best opportunity that they can to be able to, when we come out of this crisis, go to work, right? Make sure that they're offering the best customer service that they can be offering. And it's almost like this is, in my personal mind, a reset, right? Like we're going to have to come out of this, and there's going to be a lot of people competing for your business. There's going to be a lot of people who need to, pay their bills, make sure that their businesses are thriving, make sure to do it. So my biggest recommendation to the businesses that I'm talking to are make sure that you've got the skills to be the one that's noticed.
Yes. Because
everyone's going to be looking for it, and everybody's going to be looking, once all the money starts coming in, for a place to spend it. Is just what we do.
Right. Absolutely.
So make sure you set your business apart and get your team to First Steps to Success.
Very cool. And Jen, do you have an email that you can give us if people want to connect with you personally?
Absolutely. It is Jennifer, JENNIFER, at Dani, DANI, Johnson, JOHNSON.com. That's Jennifer at DaniJohnson.com.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely reach out. I've never had an email go unanswered.
Oh, thanks. Unless it goes to my spam.
Every
once in a while, I'm like, no, I didn't get it. But
we don't always check those emails all the time. I know I don't either. It's not always friendly in there. Well, it's been great talking with you, Jen. This is very exciting. I know I can't wait for the virtual event. It's just something new and different, and I am sick of watching TV. Like I'm over it. I'm done with it. We finally got some nice weather here in Michigan, and we got to get outside. But there's just only so much that you can do, and until this is all over and we can all get together in person again. Thank you so much for being a part of something that's going to help improve our lives in this strange time.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate you taking the time to help promote what we do, as well as help the people that I know that are your listeners and are your fans out there. So I really appreciate you taking the time to spend this with me and interviewing us and what we do. So.
Aw, thanks, Jen. If you're watching this video and you have been to First Steps or any of the other live conferences, you've plugged into DaniJohnson.com somehow, please leave us a comment. We would love to hear your story. We would love to hear from you and how it has affected your life. If you have never heard of Dani Johnson, DaniJohnson.com, First Steps to Success. If this was all Spanish to you, also leave us a comment and let us know. We would love to hear that. It's just always interesting. I know for myself, I watched her on Oprah, and I watched her on Secret Millionaire. I watched her on The View. I've watched her on all them big shows, and I was just like, oh my gosh, everybody knows who I know. Like, I just, because I had already been going to First Steps for 7, 8, 9 years. And then she starts going on these huge TV shows. And I'm just like freaking out. And it's just like anything else, everybody watches different things. Not everybody knows. I still run into people and I start talking about Dani Johnson, like they should just know her. And they're like, who are you talking about? I'm like, oh my gosh, hold on. Let me pull it up for you. Look at this, and it's just wild to me that's definitely still a thing.
You'll see people who've paid off debt. You're going to see people who've tripled and doubled and tripled their business. Michael Summers, which he's been on your show, like watching the comedy. I've been forwarding out your links as you're doing your live shows still, and coming to people's living rooms, which is an amazing job for you to do. But, he went from taking his business, like skyrocketing it. You're talking 800,000 to, okay, we're going to do 4 million. No, we do 20 million instead in a year. So just craziness of what has been happening with our clients, of how they've expanded their business. Obviously, Jackie and Carmen and what took place in their business, and just going to high like increases, people tripling, quadrupling, like some people 100-fold their business income. Just to basic, simple skills of how do I communicate? Not everybody is you, Melissa, and can talk to a rock. You make friends with a rock. There's people like me who are introverts and who are not extroverts, who have to learn skills to, have a conversation or step out of their comfort zone. And oh my gosh, they're talking to me. Do I really have to do this? So like amazing communication skills and being able to relate back and forth. So how to talk to people who aren't the same personality that you might be. So that's been just amazing. So make sure you share those stories down below, especially if you've been to First Steps to Success or you're part of Dani Johnson's Life Map to Success. It would help to let her viewers know what they can learn or how they can be equipped at First Steps to Success through DaniJohnson.com.
Yeah, this isn't a bunch of gibbly gosh. It's definitely something serious. And any of you guys that follow me on Melissa Hager TV, you know that I have a passion for life. Like, let's go live life to the fullest. And I would not present anything to you on this channel that wasn't entertaining or meant a lot to me. And this means a lot to me. And it was also entertaining. I mean, I hate to say, but picturing you falling on your face.
Well, you know what you say.
So proper.
Laugh until you pee a little.
You always have your shit together. Like always. You always seem like you have it together. And like to witness that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen. You guys go to DaniJohnson.com. Follow the links below in the description. If you have not clicked subscribe yet, make sure you do so. Ring that bell so you get notifications when we're loading new videos. And thank you for tuning in today. Have an awesome day. Bye, Jen. Bye everybody.
Bye.